Hi, everyone. Thanks for joining us today. My name is Teresa Vivona. I am the Associate Director for Advancement of the Office of Catholic Schools.
And I'm Seth Burkholder. I'm a CPA, and I'm the Associate Director for Data Analysis and Finance here in the Office of Catholic Schools as well.
Seth and I wanted to take a few minutes today to put together a brief video for you about the Emmaus Road Scholarship Fund. We have received a lot of questions lately about the scholarship fund and specifically from individuals wondering if they would qualify for the tax credit. So we thought we would walk you through the program briefly and show you how it flows through on your Ohio tax return, and start sharing now.
Okay. Go ahead and pull that up.
Great, thank you. So as you are likely aware, the Ohio legislature created a new dollar-for-dollar tax credit in late 2021 for certified scholarship granting organizations, or SGOs, for non-public schools. Our diocese considers access to an affordable Catholic education a philanthropic priority. So last year, shortly after the law was passed, the Diocesan Education Corporation was certified by the Ohio Attorney General as the first SGO in the state. This July in 2022, DEC officially became known as the Emmaus Road Scholarship Fund.
Okay, so Teresa gave us just a brief overview of what the program is. I'm going to jump into a little bit more of the specifics as it relates to the tax return. Many people hearing this for the first time wonder if this is a real thing. So I'd just like to point out that if you just simply went to Google and gave a little Google search of Ohio tax return instructions, a document would pull up that looks just like you're seeing here. That's just the front page. All throughout the instructions, they're going to list all the things you need to fill out your tax return. One of the things that they do every year is there's always a message from the Ohio Tax Commissioner on new things that are happening in the state in terms of tax laws. So you can see right here, there were 3 new education tax credits that were available to eligible taxpayers in the state of Ohio. And specifically, I just want to draw your attention to the one that is for donating to a scholarship granting organization, which is what our Emmaus Road Scholarship Fund is. If you continue further in the tax instructions, down to page 20, you're going to see Ohio's schedule of credits. Now, many of you who file jointly, maybe you're married and you're filing together your tax return, are going to be familiar with another credit called the joint filing credit. So again, I just want to point out something that you're probably used to seeing. But if you go to the very next page, page 21 of those instructions, you'll see right there, line 15, scholarship donation credit, and specifically the SGO. And it talks about that $750 per person tax credit that you can get if you donate to the Emmaus Road Scholarship Fund. So I know those are words. Let's see what it looks like on actual tax form. So I'm going to go to your Ohio tax return, and I'm specifically looking at 2021 because that's the tax return you just would have filed this year. And there are many different forms in there, but specifically I want you to look at your Ohio schedule of credits. And then we're going to be looking at page 1 of 2. And again, I referenced that joint filing tax credit earlier. You'll see that that shows up on line 12. So if you're somebody who files together, if you look at your Ohio tax return on line 12 there, you probably have a dollar amount. Go 3 lines lower and you'll see scholarship donation credit. This is where the SGO would reside if you actually donated to the Emmaus Road Scholarship Fund. It's going to flow from there to your main part of your tax return, specifically to page 2. And you'll see right here, line 9, Ohio credits. And then specifically, it's going to have that reference back to that tax form that I just showed you of the Ohio schedule of credits. And again, if you donated to the Emmaus Road Scholarship Fund, you'll see it will show up on line 9 there of your Ohio tax return. So that just kind of shows you the basic instructions of where it is, that yes, this is a real thing, how it would flow on your tax return. But now I want to jump into some specific numbers and letting you see how that would actually impact you on your return. And we're going to look at one example of an individual filer, and then we'll look at one example of somebody who's married filing jointly and the impact of the SGO donation. Okay, so again, we're looking at that Ohio tax return. We're looking at page 2, and you'll see here that on line 8C, there is a tax liability to the state of Ohio for $1,000. This particular person, line 9 there, did not donate to the Emmaus Road Scholarship Fund. So that's why that line is blank, because they have no credit. So that keeps their tax liability on line 10 at $1,000. That will then flow down to line 13, still at $1,000 before your withholding. In this particular example, I chose somebody who withheld $750 in their paycheck throughout the year, their W-2 withholding. And so when they got to their tax return time, you could see that they owed the state of Ohio $1,000, but because they only withheld $750 in their paycheck, now they had to write a check for the difference of $250 to the state of Ohio. So let's look at the example of all these same numbers, but somebody who donated to the SGO fund. So again, we're starting on line 8C. We have a $1,000 liability. And now on line 9, we see that $750 donation to the Emmaus Road Scholarship Fund to get their SGO tax credit, which reduces their tax liability on line 10 to $250. Again, that will just flow right down to line 13. So $250 is your final tax liability. The same person withheld $750 in their paycheck, because we're using the exact same example as the prior one. And now, instead of paying, this person got a refund of $500. Okay, so now let's compare these side by side, just so you can see it come together full circle. So again, the example on the left is somebody who did not donate to an SGO fund, and the example on the right is a person who did. The person on the left had to write a check for $250 to the state of Ohio, and the person on the right, who donated to the Emmaus Road Scholarship Fund, got a refund of $500. So just so you can see how that plays out side by side of the exact same example of numbers of liability and withholdings, but somebody who donated to the SGO fund and somebody who did not. Now, let's move on to married filing jointly. So again, we're just going to increase the amounts to keep this, simple and straightforward. So this couple has a income tax liability of $2,000 on line 8C. Again, line 9, they did not have any tax credits. Line 10, their liability is still $2,000, which flows down to line 13. Between these two people, they withheld $1,500 in their paychecks throughout the year, their W-2 withholding. And because they weren't fully withheld, they owed the state of Ohio $500 more at tax time. Now, let's look at the same married filing jointly tax return, but donating to the Emmaus Road Scholarship Fund. $2,000 tax liability again on line 8C, just like before, but now we have that $1,500 donation. So that decreased their liability on line 10 to only $500. Again, that just flows down to line 13. And then on line 14, again, they're still withholding $1,500. They withheld that throughout the year in their paycheck. Now they got a tax refund of $1,000. So again, just like before, we're going to show you a side-by-side example. The one on the left is married filing jointly who did not donate to the SGO fund, and the one on the right did. The one on the left had to pay $500 to the state of Ohio at tax time. The one on the right who did donate to the Emmaus Road Scholarship Fund ended up getting a $1,000 refund. So again, I just wanted to show you quickly those two examples so you could see side by side how this actually works, how it flows on a tax return, so that you can see how much of an impact that your donation could have, not only on our schools, which is why we're doing it, but also on your own personal income tax return and how that will affect you come tax time.
So you're probably wondering, where do you go next? We put together in our office this piece here on the screen that synthesizes basically everything Seth just reviewed. There's a little bit of information about our scholarship fund at the top, and then it goes through the 3 steps to determine how the tax credit can benefit the donor. Obviously, the next step after that is to get those donations in. So donors do have the opportunity to either send a check to our offices at 197 East Gay Street, or they can go online to our scholarship website at emmausroadscholarship.org, read all about the scholarship, and give online as well. So that's it in a nutshell. We appreciate your time and sticking with us as we go through this. If you have any questions, please don't hesitate to reach out to Seth or me. Or you can just send an email to the generic SGO email, which is sgo@columbuscatholic.org. Thanks, everyone.
Thanks.